to what we are about to become. And so, why would I address young Pharaoh? It's because I like young Pharaoh. I genuinely like the brother, and I like the methods, and I got a lot of research that I would like to share with him in order to make sure that he walked in flawlessly along his path, because he got the skills to pay the bills. He know how to deliver the information, but he's not getting depth information. He's getting the surface dwelling, divide and conquer information. He's not getting the unity doctrine. Whoever his elders are, they need to go back to the drawing board, because if they knew how to read the signs and they knew what they're supposed to be doing, then they would be teaching him the unity doctrine. They would know, if they was truly raised in past masters as they claim to be, they would know. And they would not be sending Pharaoh out here to attack somebody without knowing some of the secrets of secrets, so to speak. And when I say secrets of secrets, the brothers in the lodge, in the shrine, the Templars, they all know what I'm talking about. But many of the lay person, the average person that get up in the morning and go work a job 9 to 5, pay their bills, and don't worry about what's going on in the world, they have no clue. We are living in what you call a bifurcated world. Our world is broke up into two parts, the spiritual world and the physical world. And so what we see with the naked physical eye is not necessarily the spiritual essence behind it, or the spiritual catalyst or motivator. In saying that, the Malcolm X situation is not what we think it is. Now, I gotta say this about what young Pharaoh, because I listened intently. On the surface, everything that he said is correct on the surface. Everything he said correct on the surface. But he don't understand the motivators. He don't understand the fact that we coming out of a redemption process for those who allowed some atrocities to take place on earth that allowed us to be persecuted as we persecuted others for a prolonged period of time, much longer than 400 years that we've been suffering. And so, because Pharaoh's elders are not getting him the correct information to effectively deal with this situation, deal with this matter, I'm offering. So anybody know young Pharaoh, put him on my page. He inboxed me one time. I give him my number, and he'll have all of the information I got access to, and I give him all of the references he needs in order for him to stop launching this futile attack against Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. Because when he see what's coming next, his mouth gonna hit the floor, as will most people, because they think they know, but they don't. Now, so this goes to Pharaoh, Polite, Crumb, all of them Setis, Suit and Seti, Sarah Seti, the Flat Earthers, the Hollow Earthers. We cannot continue to bicker and fight each other and claim we are trying to get from under an oppression. As long as we bickering and fighting each other, and we talking about we trying to get from under this oppression, this is the changing of the guard. And there's only two things required. And that's to respect the women and to stop fighting each other. That's it. Respect the women, follow the unity doctrine. If you don't know how to source the information, it's real easy, but I will show you if you haven't done it yet. And that's anybody who want to get out from under this misery. As Malcolm said, I'm willing to work with anybody that's sick of this miserable condition on earth. So, the unity doctrine ties into the secret societies. It ties into the secret societies in the black community. It ties into the Prince Hall Masons. It ties into the Shriners. It ties into all of the Templars. All of this goes back to the unity doctrine, being that if you want to, okay, the prophecy said, now if it's a prophecy, There's a series of signs in place to read a prophecy. So if the prophecy is put in place, that means that prophecy is revealing what they call a divine plan. In other words, what's a prophecy to the human is God's plan. God planned it. That means that he got an end date, he got a beginning date, and he got all of the filler in the middle. So if you don't know the signs, you cannot read the message that God gave us. And if you can't read the message, then you should be quiet until you are either instructed in the proper discernment of the prophecy and the signs and how they apply. So for years, I wouldn't talk publicly about any of this. I felt like as long as these brothers want to continue to debate and bicker with each other, there is no reason for me to participate in the insanity of divide and conquer. That's the main obstacle to our progress. There's two obstacles to the progress of liberation of earth. I ain't talking about just the black people, and I ain't talking about just the Hispanic people, and I ain't talking about just the Asian people, and I ain't talking about just people that say they Israel. I'm talking about the entire 6 sextillion ton of earth. The whole population, the 8.3 billion, is only two obstacles to liberation and prosperity. And those two obstacles is divide and conquer, is the first obstacle. And the second obstacle is pure, unadulterated, selfish greed. Everybody chasing this dollar like this is the end all, the be all. The dollar is not it. It's the distraction. The dollar is the mark. It is the mark of a man. If you look on every bill, there's a face of a dead president. It's the mark. It's just a mark, but it's not the beast. The one who controls the money, the one behind the dollar is the beast. And everybody gonna say, well, it's the Jews. No, they work for somebody. They all work for somebody till you get to the last person. You got to trace the dollar to the last. There's no higher person that you can trace this dollar to. That's when you know that you found the Pope. Because the Pope is the one who issued the order, what they call the white man's burden, to enslave Africans and sack Africa against the divine law. Mind you, Africa was off limits for this cleanup of this Babylonian bull smack. Africa was sacked against the orders of the Creator, of the King of the gods, the Most High. Africa was not supposed to be touched, but they did it anyway. We over here set up 13 colonies. We allowed Europe to set up 13 colonies for this stuff. These 13 colonies was given land grants in order to be able to survive. These people never had, those colonist people, the people that were those colonists, came from various parts of Europe, but they never had an empire or civilization. They didn't have a mark in the history books. They had to have that for the age to close. Everybody has to have the opportunity to have ruled this planet at one time before we move into a fifth dimensional framework. But the average person is too naive. See, we get these schools of thought. What is a school of thought? It's a way that you look at the truth. Everybody don't look at it the same. So when you go to the Middle East, you when you go to the Middle East, you include in the liberation and spiritual doctrine the culture of Arabs and call it Islam. That's not Islam. That's Arab culture and Islam. That's why the Nation of Islam look different. They not Arabs. Farrakhan has said that I don't know how many times. We not Arabs. We over here. We dress how we dress because our founder gave us this because we were not Arabs. But when Siraj Wahaj, Bilal Phillips, and Wharf-Deen Muhammad all go put on these jalabiyas, then y'all think they more Muslim because they put on a gown. That don't make you more Muslim because you know how to cross-dress now. That's not practical to walk around with a jalabiyah in New York and some sandals in the wintertime. That's not practical. No righteous guy gonna tell you to do something that damn dumb. I want you to wear a jalabiyah and some sandals. But in the Middle East, they don't wear fur coats. Right? They don't wear fur coats in the Middle East. It's too hot. But over here, you might need a fur coat because it's too cold. So for young Pharaoh to understand this, I gotta say this. I'm gonna give you all of the answers. But first I have to talk to the ministers in the nation first. They have to have first right of defense for the minister. They have to have the first right to defend the minister against the allegations. And I have been given the information. This is the information that, because these are the grievances I personally had with Farrakhan, and before I would be willing to offer my hand and work with him, these issues had to be cleared up. My issue was Khalid Muhammad. Yeah, they cleared it up with the facts. I can tell you everything what went wrong with that situation. With Malcolm was the biggest hurdle. I turned Farrakhan down, working with Farrakhan down we could have been doing this 5 years ago. But I was resistant to Farrakhan and working with Farrakhan because of Malcolm. And so in the sacred halls, they brought me Malcolm. And Malcolm thought it was a joke to accuse Farrakhan in his low level of ranking with having an instrumental role in his assassination when he had no juice. And that's the most I can say about that at this point. Now, the next thing is this. Young Pharaoh, you have a powerful voice for the youth and a powerful voice for our people. You have two ways that you can use that voice. You can use that voice to destroy us more with this divide and conquer bullshit. Or you can find some facts and you can get to know some people personally as opposed to attacking them. You can't attack everybody because you'd have no alliances. You have no alliances. You can never break this oppression without making alliances. The Bloods and the Crips got to join together. The Vice Lords and the GDs got to join together. It's written. This is all part of the redemption process. All of this stuff is written about. So as long as we can sit here and bulldog and fight and scratch out with each other, somebody else is spectating. Who is the spectator watching the fiasco of us going at each other's throat and going at each other's head? There's only two positions in this end game, and that's righteous and unrighteous. So we have to determine what side of the coin we gonna be on. We don't have to agree. This is what y'all not understanding. We don't have to agree word for word, letter for letter with anybody's doctrine. The only agreement we need to make is that we tired of the oppression, and whatever it takes to overcome it, I'm with whoever willing to overcome the oppression. When we understand that, we ain't got to fight each other no more, and the oppression will melt off of us. See, now, there's probably some white people watching this, but I'm talking to black people in this video specifically. Let me tell y'all this. White people is waiting on black people in America to say enough is enough without having to get ignorant. In other words, they waiting on us to come with a sensible description of the situation that can be verified through a historical timeline. And by doing this, they already know their position. That's all we have to do. Stop fighting each other, lay the timeline down, show it to them. It's right there in our face. We've been told history according to the oppressive regime of our oppressor. So, what do? Stop attacking each other. Start working with each other. Young Pharaoh, if you want to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem, your first order of business should be do a powerful unity video with BNX or with Prince York or any of those guys that's out there trying to wake people up. Y'all have to come together. Y'all are the most powerful voices that's being most misused in our community right now. Y'all are the voice of the African American web, the black web, the Moorish web. Y'all our voice. And as long as y'all fighting each other and chopping each other's leadership down, all y'all doing is adding to the problem. Stop adding to the problem and add to the solution. Let's talk about Dr. Sebi, Nipsey, and Farrakhan dynamic. Young Pharaoh said that he was clout chasing Nipsey because he didn't support Dr. Sebi when Dr. Sebi came to him for some money. Now, there's a reason for that young Pharaoh has no clue. Farrakhan was barred by God, not by man. As was all of us that look like this, that's Grail Kings. We were barred from disseminating wealth. We couldn't share our wealth, and most of us was not even allowed to hold it because we was under a judgment. And this is what none of y'all not understanding. This is not the white man oppressing you. The white man never had the capabilities to oppress you. If you look at the historical timeline from the time Africa fell to now, go back to the rise of Greece under Alexander to now. Look at the timeline and step out of it and don't be its victim. Look at it from the external standpoint, and you will understand that there's no way possible that so-called white people could oppress us, so-called black people, without us doing it. We was instrumental. We was the number one fucking culprits because we was the ones who wrote the white supremacy military doctrine. We wrote that. Black people with dark skin and nappy ass hair wrote that doctrine. We gave it to them motherfuckers so that they can have their shit before the close of an age. It was to clean up a transgression that we laid down or allowed to be laid down on our watch. We didn't do our job and we paid for it. That's why they don't entertain reparations as a conversation. Reparations is easy. If you want reparations, it's a 5-step program and they can't deny it according to the rules. But you never gonna walk the 5-step program until you understand that this ain't about reparations. You the salt of the earth. All you have to do is stop fighting each other and this shit melts away. You don't have to, we can stop killing each other now. But y'all don't want to hear that. So what y'all gonna do? Gonna kill somebody else. Put ourselves in the crosshairs of foolishness by attacking a juggernaut that we have no defense against if they really want to put out our flame. So I really like young Pharaoh. Nobody don't know how much I like this brother, but he doesn't understand, or his elders, whoever giving him this green light to shoot these shots, they don't understand what the hell they doing, and they need to stop. This is very critical to all of them if they're going to be part of the solution. We cannot continue tearing each other down openly and in public. If you got an issue with the doctrine, let's deal with the doctrine. If you got an issue with the man, then you, man to man, deal with the man. He 80-something years old now, so I'm sure he got somebody in your age bracket that will stand up and meet you in that MMA shit you do. It's some fruit down there that will show you how that shit go. Because we don't need to keep killing each other. And we don't need to keep fighting each other. But if you have a personal problem with a man, you deal with that problem personally. You don't put it on public domain. If you have an issue with a doctrine, you deal with the doctrine. You address the doctrine, and then you allow the doctrine to speak for itself. It say what it say. And I'm here to tell you, now I'm going to say this again.